Hi.
I'm Joshua Simon.
I'm Kennedy Sam.
I'm Sam Jo,
And we are
The SG Boys.
the new gay podcast from Singapore.
Subscribe and find us on Instagram at The SG Boys.
Complete this sentence. Purple light.
In the valley,
What?
that is where.
My mama or what?
No, it's that is where I want to be. Or in your case, you don't want to be, right?
Singapore has compulsory national service, aka military conscription.
Yeah.
So we all have to do like 1 year, 10 months to 2 years. I'm not sure if for these two it was longer in their generation.
Bitch.
But for
Mine was 1 year, 10 months.
Yeah,
as well,
mine was 1 year, 10 months. So like that's compulsory like military service. Yeah.
Mine felt like forever.
But usually it's 2 years, approximately 2 years, plus minus.
And then the reservist period is over 10 years?
10
Yeah.
cycles and 1 cycle per year. So it's around 10 years.
Right.
So every male Singapore citizen at the age of 17, 18 years old, you're drafted into national service, either the Army, Air Force, the Navy.
Or the civil defense, aka police and firefighters. And
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about our Army life.
So the three of us are all from Army, right? The Army branch. Yeah.
Mine's like an Army spin-off.
Oh.
What's that?
All right, so Sam Jo just came back from reservists, and Kennedy, you had like a little feature. You reflected on your Army life as well. Where can we find this article?
So these articles, they're available on Zula and available on Rice Media. So it was more of like a section on like what it means to be gay in the Army. Not a total sob story. It's not as dramatic as some people think it is. It's really just my honest like telling of like what happened and stuff.
But why don't you tell our listeners actually like what was...
I want to know.
I mean, I know
what
I know those
happened?
articles were
Yeah.
pretty long, but can you give them the TLDR version?
I'm sorry.
Tell us.
But yeah, it's basically I was supposed to go through the whole typical systematic route. I was from JC, junior college, which is our senior year in high school. Finished those 2 years, and usually what happens after that is you go in all the same batch, either in November or January or April. I went in April. I was supposed to do the whole do well in the basic military training, and then after that become an officer or a sergeant and all of that, become a leader in the army, because that was what did look on paper like I was supposed to go through that whole thing. But midway through, it got really, really tough for me. I dropped out of the course of the basic military training, which we call BNT, because I just had so much adjusting issues. I was bullied for 8 years since primary school all the way until I left secondary school. Then I went to JC, and in JC that was the first time I discovered I suddenly was able to be so open about my sexuality. I didn't feel ashamed of it. Fast forward 2 years later, being conscripted, I felt like I was pushed back into the closet. I felt like it was not a welcoming environment, and then on the first day everything's just not designed with a person like me in mind. They say oh, why must we serve? And then they say, picture your wife and your kids and your, property of choice and blah, blah, blah. And then I was just so bitter at the time. I was just like, you're saying all these things about why we must serve, and these things don't apply to me. So why should I serve? You're still not making a case for me. I know that sounds a little bit entitled, but at that time, I just felt like I was being pushed back into the closet. So eventually it came to a breaking point. I just decided I couldn't take it anymore, because sometimes people make casual, aka locker room talk, jokes about oh, do you think there's any gay guys in our bunk? Do you think they're going to rape us? Things like that. Or that myth about the Milo, the spiked Milo, and then the guy got...
About the roommate
the Milo,
putting
the
something in the
OCS one.
Milo.
Yeah.
And then when he woke up, he realized that he had allegedly been raped.
I mean, they're just saying all these things, and it wasn't even a factual retelling. I think it was a very it felt to me like a very throwing gay people under the bus.
Yeah, it's like jokey, right?
It's jokey. It wasn't even a serious question,
One of those urban legends, with a very strong homophobic undertone.
It's one of those don't drop the soap, right?
Yeah, so then I just didn't feel welcome now. Then every week after when I book out, right, I'll just look forward to the next time I can just get drunk. It got to a point where that's always the routine. Then when I book in on Sunday night, I just feel so depressed. Then it just bottled up. So eventually it came to a point where I was marching to the cookhouse one morning, and then after I just started crying. I just started hyperventilating, and everyone was like, what's wrong? Now I was like, I need to see the doctor now. I can't do this. And yeah, I dropped out now. Yeah. And then eventually, after a whole series of back and forth, I went into the military band of the Singapore Armed Forces.
So this was after coming out officially in the army.
Yeah. For me, music was my whole life back then. I wanted to do classical music as a career. So being in that environment, being recognized for my talent in music, it just felt way better. And I finally felt like I belonged in a place in the army.
I'm trying not to say precious all the time, but that was precious.
Judging from your tone just now, it seems like you didn't have your happy ending in army. I don't know, like.
Oh.
Yeah, what was your experience like, Josh?
So much for my happy ending.
I'm surprised you know that song.
Oh no, Avril Lavigne is very much a cultural product of my time.
It's
Really?
Avril.
I think she was my... Yeah, it's
Avril.
Avril, just so you know. Like... But Josh, how was your time like?
Physically, I look like the type that I would enjoy army. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be in the jungle. Yeah, I'm going to be a beast.
Oh my god, please don't do that ever again.
Some people like that. My personality is a lot softer. And I just knew that this is not a place where I would find any kind of belonging in or anything. So the lead up to getting our medical checkup, that was so harrowing for me. They wrote down that I have poor eye contact, which was strange because I thought my eye contact was fine. Okay, how do we explain the PES status?
Basically, PES is I don't even know what it stands for, but it's basically your physical and mental fitness kind of like grading. So there's A to E with a little bit of subcategories in between. So E is the lowest lah.
Yeah. So E, I was given PES E, and they said that I had depression and suicidal ideation. It would be harmful for both sides if I were to get like the regular
So-called
BMT.
PES fit.
I went in with the mentality that I need to go in completely blank. I got to be a blank canvas, no emotions, no personality, rid myself of anything that is Josh-like. Because if I can get rid of that, there won't be any fears, right? If Josh usually would be scared to go into the jungle, if I'm not Josh anymore, I'll go in.
Almost like a submission to duty.
Going for the medical checkup, like everyone's shirtless and stuff like that. Like I'm not comfortable like that. And I still went through it and I just like shut my brain off and just tried to be blank, right? Which I kind of guess is the point of the army, right? For every soldier. And then when I went for my BMT, my personality started to grow out a little bit more, bit by bit, day by day. I made some friends and we ended up having a very different BMT experience. We watched G.I. Jane. We watched Band of Brothers. That was my BMT. And then at one point, it was raining outside. So then they said, okay, come up with cheers. Me, being me, said, instead of cheers, let's do full-on bring it on cheers.
Whoa.
So how many of you guys can do splits? I used to be in cheerleading, so I started training the group and we did full-on You Got Served, like platoon versus platoon dance competition on stage for my BMT.
So much for being PES E.
And I slid across the stage. I had my whole honey save the last dance moment at BMT. It was so fun. And I wanted to be in MDC, right? When I heard about MDC before going for medical checkup, right? So MDC is the music and drama company. I thought, okay, this is my shining beacon of hope. This is my lighthouse. I need to get into MDC. So I went for an audition before my medical checkup because I was so excited. I just wanted to get straight in, right? And they liked me a lot, but you got to go for your medical checkup first, get your PES status, then come back. So once I did that and I went back in, I had this horrible incident where I went for the audition. I was so confident, overly confident. And I was guiding all the other people who were auditioning as well. I was like, telling them, this is what's going to happen. We're going to do this. And then all you guys are going to be fine. And I was the one who was not picked. Because when we were stretching for the dance part of the audition, I was wearing socks. And I was stretching. And I fell. And I did a full-on split when I wasn't planning to do a split.
Ouch.
And I had to dance with my leg just being off. And it was a horrible experience for me. And I remember people making fun of me. The people who were already in MDC, they were laughing at me. And they, even after that, like a couple of years after when I went to like Tantric, the bars here and stuff like that, and I happened to recognize a couple of these people, they would laugh and they'll make jokes about it. It was the guy from MDC who didn't get in.
Right.
Yeah, and that one just like killed me, especially when like this is everything that I love, right? And this is my lighthouse and I'm not even gonna get in there. You know, like that was just soul crushing for me. So I went back to BMT. On my final week, they actually put me in the film unit, which I didn't even know existed. And it ended up being such an incredible army experience for me. For 2 years, I'm supposed to just meet up with all these from different companies, right, within the army and help them do their corporate videos. So whenever there's an exercise in New Zealand, for example, I'll put together the video for them. I'll edit everything. So that's where I honed a lot of my editing skills, which I then used to join radio right after. That was my army experience.
Also, that ends well. Everything happened for a reason.
Everything happened for a reason.
I thought you were going to say it's like a terrible experience. What happened to that?
It ended up being quite brilliant.
Started terrible, but then it worked out, right?
It started terrible, and I thought it was going to be all these horrible things, and I thought I had to neuter my personality and everything. Even when I was in the film unit, it's still in Safti, right? So it's in
the far west.
Yeah, far west, right? Jukun. So it's where the OCS officers are at and everything, right? So it's still that military camp. So anytime I'm there, I kind of get scared and I try to tell myself I'm Hilary Duff and Cadet Kelly,
I have to say, honestly, in BMT, I did purposely go and watch Cadet Kelly.
Yeah. What's Cadet Kelly?
It's Hilary Duff.
It's a Hilary Duff movie of her going through military school.
Yeah. And I try to imagine the Spice Girls in Spice World. Remember that?
Right, where they had to wear the military uniform.
And then for me, it's this is the part of me that you know.
That music video.
Yeah, I'll be like, that's me in the military.
All that helps.
I was already out by then, but yeah.
So one of my unit mates, right, I just knew was like me. We kept it.
Oh, he's a homosexual as well.
Yes, forgot this is the podcast where we can talk about that. So we would meet secretly at the back and be like, no, we're best friends.
Okay.
We're like, do you want to go watch Vampire Diaries? I'm like, yes.
That kind of fraternizing.
Yeah, it's like we share copies of Vogue, so it's like we had that kind of friendship and camaraderie to a point where we actually stopped hiding. Like after a while, people are like, hey, you're too gay, ah? It's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, funny. Hey, cool.
What's that code that the older generation used to classify? 301 what?
302, I think.
302. There used to be an archaic military code called 302 that the older inchicks, which is the older sergeants, would classify as gay people. Oh, that one 302, that kind of thing. I wanted to print a t-shirt in the color Temasek green and have the number 302 on it.
Wow.
And walk into camp like that. Can you imagine the eyes that will fall off the inchicks' faces?
It's pretty badass though.
But no, I never did that.
Yeah. My friend and I, we came out and everyone just embraced us and they didn't really care after a while, and it was really nice.
Actually, we actually talked about that in the Rice Media article that I was featured. Obviously, the experiences differ from person to person, but at least for me and the other person who's featured and hearing from you, as long as you find your crowd, your tribe, very cliche lah.
Yeah, and I think you can't give in to that shame. Torment for me was before even going through the experience, right? But then once I started just owning myself and owning my personality, owning my sexuality, and just being proud, we're gay, and we're going to make a lot of gay jokes in front of you.
Yeah.
We're just going to be outrageous in front of you. Then they kind of realize that, because we're so proud and comfortable with who they are, they can't mess with us. So that there was no room for that shame anymore to fester.
I think that's great. I mean, I'm happy how things turned out for both of you. Obviously, it was very bumpy at the start and everything, but I know of people as well, even now, having just come back from reservists and everything, where, people know they're gay and they don't have it that easy. They're gay, but they're not I'm loud and proud and yeah, girl, you still hear homophobic comments. It's still very heteronormative. It's not very easy for people, even though they display as gay.
For sure.
But it's not easy for them to say.
There's so many different sides to the military as well, and every kind of division or area that you're in.
For example, our divisions are definitely more gay friendly. Me and Josh definitely.
Right. Music and drama company, and what was yours?
Josh didn't get into music and drama company.
Oh, sorry.
That's the whole story, babe.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But you know what I mean. Or equivalent.
As in, if you're working in something like film and media, I think environment may be a bit more aware.
Yeah.
And for me, the way the military band is a lot of the regular servicemen.
They've lived enough to know better outside and away from that system.
Yeah. The reality is that for a lot of gay people in the army, it's still tough, because they still feel very judged. They still feel very unsafe, to speak their mind about certain things. Yeah, I was just in reservists and I definitely heard from my unit mate when they were discussing this particular guy whom we all believe is gay because of how he behaves and everything. They would say stuff like, oh yeah, I get very nervous when he pees beside me at a urinal. I quickly finish up and then go back to that assumption that all gay guys are predatory, and just because you're a guy, all gay guys want to hit on you. That's not true, right? And we know that as gay people, but somehow that mentality out there, that misconception still exists and it's still thriving even as we speak. I enjoyed my NS experience, but my experience was I enjoyed it partly because I wasn't open about it. Basically, it's completely different from what you guys experience. Like, you guys are like, okay, I'm out and proud. And then your life started to get better after that. But for me, okay, I went to OCS. I did my BMT, then I went to OCS. I became an officer. Yeah, and then I got called back for reservist after coming back from studying overseas. It's always been very under the radar. Having just gone in for another 2 weeks, and we had just started this podcast, and it's been all over social media, I woke up every morning in camp actually worried that, my unit mates would find out. You can come out to your family, you can come out to your friends, maybe your colleagues. You'll never stop coming out. You go into the army, it's a whole different group of people that people assume that you are a guy and you are wearing a uniform, you are by default straight. And if you're not, then that involves either they can just tell from the way you behave. I've been asked also point blank. And so to my closer friends, obviously I would be very forthcoming and say, yeah. And one of them actually, when we started the podcast, this was before our training, he texted me and he said, I'm proud of you. To all the allies who are out there listening, like, it's so important. Your support actually really matters to us.
Yeah.
Like, because there are a lot of us who are, for whatever reason, we can't actually talk openly about it. Messages like that really matter, and like your allyship really, really counts for a lot. Gives us so much strength.
To quote Josh, that's so precious.
Yeah, but you know where I'm coming from.
No, I know, definitely. Yeah. And I mean, I'm really happy that you shared that lah, because as in, I also don't want people to feel like it's an obligation to come out in an unsafe environment. I think that's really a consideration that I also have lah. It's like that route has been accessible for me. It's not accessible for many people, and you're right lah. It is contingent on the fact that the environment is harmful in itself. It's like an agency versus a determinism kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering if it's a generational thing. Because okay, like Kennedy, for instance, you're 23, right? And then Josh and I were both in our early 30s.
Early, very early.
Yeah, but I feel like our time in national service, not that it was very easy or smooth sailing, we've already heard that part. Based on my observations on, what's being discussed on social media and everything, guys in the army now seem to be a bit more open about their sexuality.
I hope it gets easier and continues to get easier, because even the generation before Sam Jo and I, even the army training itself was so much more grueling.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think like this podcast, the generation gap pervades everything.
Yeah. Sure, rub it in.
No. But as in, like, jokes aside, I do think, because it even goes back to our first episode, right? Like, the whole thing about the media representation, like, the starting point for people nowadays, unless you are really from a very strictly conservative or religious background, I think it's a normal thing, but it's just not normal here.
More of an understanding.
I feel like maybe younger LGBT people can be a bit more confident about themselves, because also social media, a lot of people's first interaction with sexuality through the internet. I hope it says spaces. I mean, that's why Prod exists, right? Another plug.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Because of that, then people feel more confident and assured of their identity.
Right.
So I think when you go into army, it's kind of like it's always like an inside joke thing, like kind of like it's shitty here, but it's not supposed to be shitty.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because everyone's more aware of like the general zeitgeist, and times have changed. But I don't know, when you're in camp, it really is a very insular bubble.
I mean, it's by design also lah,
Yeah.
Yeah, with the uniform and all that kind of adds to it.
And the regimentation and everything.
Yep.
You go back to being that 18-year-old NSF who is terrified of a lot of things, like,
It just
authority.
transports you back. Yeah.
And not that I'm terrified, but I feel like regardless of what rank you wear, whatever, there is that underlying concern that the authorities can do things to you
and get away with it.
if it's considered deviant, or if it's considered wrongdoing in their eyes, because they have a lot of rules. But you know what I'm trying to say?
Let me pull out an old Instagram post from a very secret account that has 0 followers. It's basically my own blog. I write it for myself. When I went with my second BMT, I forgot to tell you guys, I went for a second BMT actually. Shaved my head twice.
Wow, you loved it so much.
No, I mean, I went for the PES C BMT after I done PES, because I didn't complete my first PES B one.
Right.
What really changed my mindset about the whole, like, the system sucks, it doesn't mean that the people will always suck. I got to see a counsellor, and that really honestly helped me so much. My first day as a clerk, after I dropped out from a BMT, my officer, who was only 2 years older than me, he just straight up said to me, like, in the private room, he said, I read your file, I know this is what happened to you, and I know why you dropped out and stuff. And I just want to let you know, like, this is from a personal standpoint, it's not the view of the organization, obviously, that it's okay, and I'm here to protect you. If anyone tries to bully you for it and things like that, you just let me know. And that was the moment that just, I think, like, the rainbow kind of like appeared in the sky for me, that kind of feeling. Yeah. Things are changing, especially hearing someone who's only 2 years my senior saying that kind of thing. And let me pull out this thing from last time. Oh my god, where is it?
And that's all the time we have for today. But if you guys have any thoughts you want to share, please write it to us.
Okay, so this was on 15 January 2017. So I said, today I came out to a few platoon mates. So this is my second BMT, and I decided that I wanted to come out right from the get-go. I came out to a few platoon mates, and a rainbow appeared over BMTC.
Really?
It really did. A rainbow really did appear that day. It was refreshing being able to live with a bit more dignity here. I never really got the chance to write an emotional closing 2016 post. Easy for me to dismiss my declaration as a chowking case or crazy desire to go to a vocation. But on my second day in Tekong this time, I broke down in tears while on the phone with a friend. Had to go through yet again a humiliating experience of hearing commanders telling me to control myself and not prey on bunkmates and whatnot. Thus, 2017 so far hasn't felt much of a new year, but rather a continuation of 2016. And actually, this ends quite sad.
Read it. I want to hear it.
This is all very recent, by the way. You're talking about 2016, 2017.
Yeah, so I said so much of my 2016, which was my first BMT, was defined by such indignation and bitterness. I hate living like this, but I can't lose to the system. I capitalize the system. I will be able to choose my own path, and I will be able to once again feel like myself again. I am Kennedy Sung, and I will never stop fighting for the things which I believe are true and good. Oh my god, I'm so dramatic. My god, ew.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why this is a very private account that nobody follows, but I mean, I didn't mind sharing this post.
That is powerful. You didn't share it.
Okay, some things, as much as I'm a very, very attention whore, I like to put online all the time, but some things in that moment, I'm not ready to share, but I think because it happened quite a while back, I'm ready to share it with people.
There's like a diary for you to kind of like keep yourself on track. And
I started blogging when I was in primary school. So I have a whole diary and I have all these memories from 2016, and I just write when I'm feeling down, and it's a very nice thing to look back. It's my photo diary.
I was listening to you delivering that piece, right? And to think that 4 years later, you would share it on a podcast.
Yeah, you guys got
podcast.
an exclusive scoop.
More than a scoop. I'm proud of you. Look at that. For 4 years, it also sat with you. It was something that you had to keep for yourself, and then when it felt right, you put it out into the universe.
I think most importantly, why I want to share it is because if anyone's struggling with it, or anyone has bad memories or bad feelings about it, actually, as much as the three of us had it good in our own way, we also need to remember that it's not like that for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's seemingly good, but at the same time, like I said, you go in and you can't really be 100% yourself.
For sure.
Right?
When I started this episode today, maybe I was looking back on rose-colored glasses, because after reading that post, I'm like, oh shit, it's, like what you said, fighting to be myself and fighting for the things that are true and good. Yes, there was a lot of turmoil back then. And after I left my final counselling session at the SAF Counselling Centre, I remember walking at that bridge to Bukit Merah bus interchange. I just held up my counselling time card. I took a picture and I was like, I never thought that I'm someone who would need help, simply a listening ear. And I hope that if you do seek help from that place, maybe I hope you have a good experience, because I heard that some people don't have a good experience.
We don't want to go down that black hole of it can get worse, because it can always get worse. With every story that you hear, you would find someone, and it's not about comparing who's got it worse, right? But the more important thing is it does get better. It can get better. It is possible to get better. Part of this podcast is knowing that you have allies in the community, right? If you feel like you're going through something, talk about it to someone. Tell someone so that we can figure it out. Like if someone were to tell me about their experience, I will try to do what I can, even if I'm not in the military, to try to see what I can do, whether it's talking about it or asking someone who can help out, And I think the great thing about social media is that there is now that platform for calling these things out, or I guess proud to say calling in.
And so to close off this episode, I would also like to acknowledge that, we are three cis gay men. Cis meaning that we are born male and we identify as male. And so our experience is very insular to the cis gay man experience. And definitely I think there's a whole other set of troubles for people who have a different gender identity, and if they were to be born male and conscripted and things like that. We would like to acknowledge that, and at the same time know that there are affirming counselling spaces that you can approach. And if you would like to share your story with us, do reach out to us on our Instagram, and we'll be more than happy to expand the conversation to other identities across the spectrum.
The SG Boys,
the new gay podcast from Singapore.
Subscribe and find us on Instagram at The SG Boys.
The beliefs, views, and opinions expressed on this podcast are attributable to its hosts only and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, organization, company, or individual.